Hi everyone, Ian Burchnall was appointed as Notts County manager yesterday. A club with a good history, famous old club. They were the oldest football league club in the world until they were relegated last year into the fifth tier of English football. The National League as they call it now, or the Conference as I refer to it. But this is significant news for me for two reasons. Firstly, because Ian Burchnall has a certain profile, and I think this is one that is going to be a real flag bearer. He's going to be a real flag bearer for young English coaches who don't have a playing career to speak of, who've advanced their way wherever that's been in the world through the coaching ranks. He doesn't fit the profile that a lot of managers in the lower leagues of the English professional football system currently have, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And then secondly, it's about the style of play and the style of play that works to get results, particularly in those lower leagues in the National League, where there's a real mix of football played, but there's certainly a lot of direct, athletic, results-based football, I'll call it, that sometimes is deployed for a good reason. So to look at his profile, first of all, I won't go through his whole career, but he's been in university football, he's been in academy football in the UK, then he went into the professional game in Norway, and then Sweden. He's been a head coach in the top league in Norway, where he got relegated. He's been a head coach in the top league in Sweden, which in my opinion is probably, in terms of standard, maybe between League One and the Championship, maybe more Championship than League One. But it's a good standard of football with some international footballers in there, obviously European football at stake. And if you only need to look at Östersund's results before he took over when Graham Potter was the manager in their European journey the season before, to know that they can compete with some of the top clubs, certainly from kind of the second tier leagues in Europe, the likes of the Portuguese league and the Turkish league, and they obviously went to Arsenal and won, albeit that the tie was probably done and dusted in the first leg. But he's operated at a good level, there's no two ways about it. But have a look at his background if you don't know it. What's really important though is that he has a belief about the way the game should be played. His belief is that it's about the possession of the football, and that's how you win football matches. Now, whether you agree with him or not, that is the way the game is developing, the way the game is changing. There are less and less teams that deploy tactics that are reminiscent of years gone by. There are less and less players that are capable of probably playing and learning and adapting styles of football to kind of more direct style of play, or even a style that means that you sit in and defend it, against a team who likes to have the ball. Most young kids coming through the system, and most of this generation of players that we're now working with, have an expectation that they're going to have the ball in all areas of the pitch, and that they're going to focus on possession. So, the reason why many young coaches and many emerging coaches have this mentality is because they're right, because they're observing that the game is changing. Neil Warnock has less raw materials each year to work with for his plan to work. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm not saying that he's not still successful, because I think he's demonstrated at Middlesbrough that he's still a very, very effective manager. But there are less and less players that fit that role, that fit that mould, that would allow you to play in a direct style. In the National League, or the Conference as I call it, there are some teams and some managers who have that preference. Then there are probably some managers and teams who maybe are ex-pros, ex-players that have gone into management and probably are something of a hybrid, and perhaps are starting to develop patterns of play and develop styles of coaching and styles of team development that are more ball orientated, that are more about possession, that are more about kind of, I guess, the modern focus of the game. And then you've got the likes of Ian Burchnall, and there aren't many like him that go into roles like this. The critics will say that he doesn't have a chance of getting out of what is an incredibly competitive league with one automatic promotion spot, because his style of football won't be successful enough. That's the second point, that's the second issue. But his profile for me is fit, and it's fit for this club, because the two Danish brothers who took over the club a while back, they're Moneyball people, for want of a better expression. They have a data analysis company, or they've sold a big stake in it, but they still have that, still are involved in that club or in that business. And that business has an extensive database of knowledge on players that will help Ian Burchnall to recruit, and will help with opposition analysis, and will help inform the decisions that he makes. What he will do on the training ground with his staff, he's got Maurice Ross with him, who will help to bring the kind of experience that an ex-pro with the kind of career that Mo Ross has had. You need that in a dressing room. I think if you don't have anyone in the dressing room in a technical body that doesn't have experience as a player, I think you're probably lacking some perspective on the game, and some perspective on the relevance, some relevant perspective on the football that you're playing. So, you know, he's there for a reason, because he suits the model that the owners want. He suits the way that they want to play. He sees the game the same way that they do in terms of the emerging trends within the game. And that is a lot about possession. So for me, I think he's a great choice. I really want him to succeed, but I need to make this clear. I think he's probably got a 20% chance of being successful. Literally a 20% chance of getting them out of that league. He'll have a budget that's competitive, but not doesn't blow everyone out of the water. They'll have sustainable processes that they'll try and build to try and help them to almost shadow someone like Brentford. You know, their Moneyball approach that Matthew Benham employed, and that Brentford have been so successful at, going up from League One to the Championship, and developing so many great players who've gone on for massive money and international football. This is the type of process that I think these guys, these two brothers who own Notts County, are going to try and deploy. So Ian Burchnall has the right profile, the right mentality, and the right beliefs, and that shared vision with them to go on that journey with them. I think he'll get time. He doesn't need to get them up this year, I'm certain of that, because they're sixth at the moment and probably a little bit too far off automatic promotion. They have an outside chance of going up through the playoffs, but I don't think he'll get the bullet just because they don't get up this year. He'll be given time to work, and he'll work with them to build a sustainable model in terms of recruitment, in terms of player development, in terms of team development, and ultimately results. So I think he's a good fit, and I think that a lot of young coaches out there will look to him as an inspiration. And if he can go through the leagues, then I think it will be great for English coaches and the reputation of English coaches, because there are a lot of foreign coaches coming into English football, and to be fair, they're doing a great job. So English coaches need to start to perform and start to deliver on the pitch. In terms of the style of play, and the reason, my second point around direct football versus possession football in the conference or the National League, there is no right way to play football. Ultimately, you've got to get results, but it also means that there's not really a wrong way to play football either. You can play football that's in a way that's perceived to be wrong by so many people and still get results. So long ball merchants or direct football proponents will get results, and people will say, well, they're playing bad football. Well, they're getting results, so you need to respect them. By the same token, you'll get sides who play football who get results, and who play possession-based football, who look to dominate possession, who look to defend with the ball, and they'll get results. And so their method is also right. And then there'll be the balance between the two, which is my preference. If you ask me what my philosophy is, I want to do everything. I want a team that can dominate possession with the ball, create opportunities to play through the opponents as quickly as possible, to be attacking, to be bright, to be positive, to press and to get the ball back quickly, but also be able to defend in a deep block and a mid block as well, and have the understanding of spatial awareness and compactness and organisation to not allow teams through. I want them to be able to score goals in the opponent's penalty area, to have the kind of movements and intelligence and patterns that will do that, and the reactions and that kind of sharpness that means that you react and you score goals and you dominate the opponent's penalty area. And at the other end, I would want them the defenders to be able to, and the whole team to be able to have the capability to block the path to goal, to have those natural instincts to block, to take a pride in stopping the opponents from scoring in your penalty area, which is ultimately where you need to be solid, and where you need to be at your best to stop the opponents from scoring. So I would be probably somewhere in the middle. Now, for me, it's not about the method. The method is the method, and his method probably reflects the way the game is changing, and I think that's sensible. His passion for coaching, his passion for development will come through, and ultimately he's going to have to be really, really good at that, so that the players can translate his mindset and his expectations in terms of style of play into results. So it's no good just dominating the dominating possession. That's just part of it. You can be great between the two penalty areas if you can't put it in the back of the net when you get into their penalty area or around it. And likewise, it's no good dominating possession if the odd time you do concede it, the opponents just go through and score because you can't defend your own penalty area. So he's going to have to be really good between the boxes and develop a pattern of play, and that's what he's going to want to do. But then he's also going to have to make sure that from set pieces, from direct play opportunities at the other end, that he gets the most out of the resources that he's got. A lot of conference teams over the years have played direct, physical, athletic, because in that league you do not get players that are 6'3" that can run the 100 metres in 10.5 seconds, that have all the talent in the world to be able to spray balls left, right and centre, to receive, to play quickly, to combine, to run at players 1v1. You don't get you don't get that type of player at that level of football, because that type of player ends up a lot higher level. There's always going to be some deficiency in a player that plays at that level. Now, if the deficiency is athletic, they're going to have to be really intelligent with the ball. If the deficiency is technical, then they're going to have to be really, really athletic to overcome that. Some teams will choose to take more athletes in and try and play athletic football. Some teams will choose to take more footballers in and try and play more football. If you can do both, like I say, that's the ticket. That's the way that I think it works best. But to be able to do both, you kind of need a rounded group of players with every area covered, and be able to put out a team of 11 men that can do everything. And that's not always easy when you're working with limited resources in comparison with clubs higher up the pyramid. So in summary, this is a really, really important, and I think it's a pivotal appointment for English coaching and for English coaches. Let's hope Ian goes in there and makes a massive success of it. That he, Barrow went up under Ian Evatt last year from that league, and they were a misnomer. They went and they played. They played so deep. They played in such deep areas that I think they probably gave the supporters kittens. But they dominated possession. They opened the opponents up. They scored lots and lots of goals. They were nicknamed Barcelona for a reason, because they played incredible football. And hats off to Ian Evatt. What the job he did and the players there, incredible. So it is possible, but you've got to be damn good at what you do, and that's the key for me. Probably 20% Ian Burchnall probably has a 20% chance of being successful. That's the way I see it. Only because of the statistics and the history and the precedent that exists in the game. Football management is tough. To get everything to fall together, to get the right bits of luck, to be really good at what you do in context of of your opponents and the league that you're working in. There's going to be an awful lot of things that have got to align. And I think of names like Michael Jolly and Rossi Eames, for example, guys who superb development coaches, superb coaching philosophies, superb communicators. Who I'm sure Michael Jolly will go on to be a success in football, but he's found it tough. He's gone to Grimsby and he's found it tough. He's gone to Barrow and he's found it really tough. So sometimes it's not because it's not necessarily a reflection of their ability. It's just that it's the wrong mix at the wrong time. You're not there at the right time with the right belief, the right kind of collective understanding with the management and with the ownership of the club. It might be an issue with players, it might be an issue with money, it might be an issue with so many things, and you've got to deal with all these things. The good thing for Ian is that he has dealt with a lot of off-the-pitch problems in Scandinavia, and he developed an incredible reputation despite that. So if you can transfer that into the National League, to his time at Notts County, no one would be happier than me, because first of all he's done it. He's done the hard yards. He's invested in his craft. I wouldn't say he's perfected his craft, because everyone's obviously learning, but he's a very strong coach. He's probably learned a lot about how to manage people and maturity as an individual, as a human being, through his experiences. And I think he's well qualified, if I'm brutally honest. But ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. And if the results don't come, then he'll be given time, but I don't think he'll be given forever. So let's see how it goes, but I will be watching very closely.